mess anything up here. How wonderful to see you all here today. Good afternoon, or good night, or good morning, depending on where you are. So happy to see you. I think it takes off the edge a little bit when I see about 25 people in the room, and I don't see the thousands or hundreds that are possibly on Zoom. So it's really wonderful to see you. It's here in Ames, Iowa, the middle of the United States. It's about 3:45 p.m. here. The weather is overcast, about 17 degrees Celsius, 65 Fahrenheit. And my role is to simply say a few words. I'm the department chair of the English department, and I'm really happy to be here. Now, Carol's given me a time limit in terms of how much I can say, so I have about 8 minutes. So I'm going to try to do that. And I always like to refer to a conference that Carol and I went to many years ago in Antwerp. Joseph Colpert put on this conference that is sort of in a place that is not sponsored by anybody, but it's an academic place. So when people can do their conferences at an academic place, there's no need for conference attendees to listen to administrators or and people like that. I guess I'm a little bit of an exception, but I'll keep this very short. In preparation for remarks, what I did is I looked at the last 20 years and looked at the previous calls for proposal. And I want to talk a little bit about that, highlight some of those, and then I would like to recognize people that make this conference really possible. So I was looking back and looking at, so what I'm going to talk about is the theme of some of these conferences, but also mention names of people that have attended this conference. For those of you who are younger in the field, these are names whose papers that I would encourage you to look at and to read. So we had, in 2004, for example, we explored theory-practice links for advanced second language learning through technology. And back then, there was Trudy Haift was here, Sylvian Granger, who had come out with the second iteration of the ICO, the International Corpus for Learner English. Jim Purpura was here at that time. In 2006, the conference explored learning strategies, or strategies for call. And who better to invite to a conference like that than Phil Hubbard? So he was here in 2006. 2009 and 2010, we actually joined forces with PSLLT. The pronunciation conference is also happening and has started back then in 2009, 2010. In 2011, we had a joint conference with MWAL, the Midwestern Association of Language Testing. So these are just some examples of what has happened. In 2016, we held a joint conference with the American Association of Corpus Linguistics that was organized by Kara Chappell, by Bethany Gray, and Ken Highland was here to speak to us. So those are all tremendously well-known scholars in the field that came here. In 2022, just last year, we learned about how to research for course design. And that was the very first truly hybrid conference that we organized. And that was held not here, but in the Memorial Union. And we thought, you know what? We can do this. We can do this here. And so we're doing it. Now, don't hold me to it. Let's get through the next 3 days, but I think we're doing this. I think we're good. And this year, the list of keynote speakers is just outstanding. From the UK, from California, from Hong Kong, all over the place, and they'll be talking to us. The themes that I recognized as I was looking over the call for proposals was such that obviously for all those conferences, there was a technology focus. Makes sense. It's a technology conference, right? But I also noticed that there was always a concerted effort to really seek collaborations with other areas. Whether this is assessment or corpus or pronunciation, I think that was always a very important. This conference always tried to establish and fortify theory-practice links. So they were looking at combining the theory and the practice, which I think is very important. Themes also evolved in terms of helping teachers and learners in the classroom. We looked at learner strategies. We looked at developing online courses. And over the 20 years, really, this conference has pushed the envelope in terms of what's possible. So it's really exciting that we're here. Now, Doing this conference obviously requires a lot of people. And I would like to recognize some people who made this possible. First of all, the reasons for TSLL to exist, this conference to begin with, started over 20 years ago, when Carol Chappell said, all great PhD programs have to have a conference. So we're going to have a conference. So we did. It provides students with the opportunity to see what it takes to put on a conference, right? But it also provides faculty with the opportunity to host conferences, to push the envelope, to push the field, and none of this is possible without the help of students. So what I'm going to do for the next minute, as I went back and looked at who helped put these conferences on, I'm going to just mention, I can't mention everybody, but I'm going to mention some student names and years when they helped. Those are all professionals in the field now, and I think it's important to recognize that what we're doing here would not be possible without them. So 2006, Ann O'Brien, Yuri Chung in 2007, Hinwa Alamin in 2008, Jesse Gleason in 2010, Hewon Lee and Nawaf Al-Salami in 2011, Juyong Lee, Stephanie Link at Geely in 2012, and then Ahmed Dursun, Aysel Sarijaolu, Erin Tani in 2013, Sondo Zelnigahi, Raz Hirsch, Ananda Muhammad in 2019. And then I came across 2021 when the conference. So I looked for people on the conference committee. There were 33 people on the conference committee. So that was just outstanding. Then last year, Ella Al-Hutidi, Jean Beck, and Kay Chalice were just some of the names of people that helped. So I think it's really, really important. So those are students from the past that have helped us. I also think it's important to recognize students from the present. And there's too many names to mention, but there's one name that cannot go unmentioned. So I registered for the conference last night, like at 10 o'clock at night, to see what the process is like. Within about 5 minutes, I get an email back from Mehdi Duris, who emailed me back and said, hey, you've registered. And the email came from his private account, his personal account. So that means all 1,100 registrants that are here have received an email from Mehdi. So I think without Mehdi, we would certainly not be here. So I want to recognize him and maybe even stop for a second so we can applaud. Yeah. I've told him that given all the work that he's doing, we may not let him graduate. I say it's a joke, but it's not a joke. I also think it's important to mention Jim Ronali, who was the one who helped put this room together. And I think that's very important. Now, there's one more name I need to mention, and I've mentioned that name before, but Carol Chappell needs to be mentioned here. As you know, many people make such conferences possible. But these conferences need a driving and unwavering force behind this endeavor. And Carol has been that. So she was there when the initial enthusiasm, let's put on a conference, was followed by, what? Another conference, another conference, another conference? Mm-hmm. So she navigated this. So I think that's really important. When most were too tired to think about the call for proposals early in the year, when nobody wanted to take the reins for yet another conference, because we know how much work it is. When reasons for not doing so were rehearsed, it was always Carol who found a way to spark the interest and to find people willing to keep it going. Techniques that she used to get this accomplished ranged from powerful persuasion to borderline crafty coercion, all with the masterful goal in mind to keep the conference going. So I think, we wouldn't be here without her. And now look at today. 1,100 people have registered for this conference. 2 days ago, we switched from a regular Zoom license to a webinar license to accommodate the increased enrollment. So I think it's really important. In the call for papers for this year, one line struck me with regard to how artificial intelligence and its applications are viewed. It says, I quote, unlike previous advances, however, AI tools such as intelligent chatbots and spoken dialogue systems appear to forecast a seismic shift in practice in the field. So you all get to hear more about this possible seismic shift. in the field. How much more excitement can there be? Welcome to the conference. I'm glad you're here, and I thank you very much, and I thank Carol for all her work.